Good afternoon, everybody. Pastor Chris Wilson talking about sermon and worship and our theme, which for this time of Eastertide, post-Resurrection Sunday, has been fruitful practices of resurrection living. And we've looked at several themes. And the theme for this week is extravagant generosity. And not just being generous, but extravagant generosity. And the story we have, the scripture story that kind of grounds the sermon for this week, comes from the Gospel of Matthew, the 25th chapter. And one of the reasons that's significant is the 25th chapter, there are, at least in Matthew's Gospel, there are 5 major talks or teaching moments. There are lots of little sermons in terms of parables, but there are 5 more broader teaching experiences that Jesus has in Matthew's Gospel. Matthew 25 is a part of the final discourse or teaching moment. And in that is within that wider body of that final teaching moment is this story in Matthew 25 that talks about the parable of the talents. And this owner leaves behind to each of these people a certain amount of talents and asks them to make the best use of those talents. And there are 2 people that just knock it out of the park. And one basically gives back what was given and was afraid to kind of take some risks. Frank, if I make some risks, maybe I'll lose everything. And one of the things that's cool about this passage, especially under the mindset of generosity, is that sometimes we're afraid if we give too much away, we're not going to have anything left. But 2 of the individuals in the story decide just to kind of say, Jesus did this, and he's encouraged us to do the same thing. Maybe I'm willing to be more extravagant than I would normally think when it comes to generosity. How we set up a mindset of giving really changes the very nature of how we live our lives. Generosity is everything in terms of our monetary resources, our time, the gifts that are deeply embedded within us. And I think God intended for all those things, our time, our talents, our monetary resources. Each of those were given to us in a way that we have the opportunity to be extravagant in terms of its impact to the communities we're a part of, the world we're called to love, and the people we're called to care about. So this week we'll look at this parable from Matthew, and we'll look at the nature of extravagant generosity, and sometimes that kind of turning the coin enough that our generosity reaches an extravagant level. And what does that look like? I hope you'll come and find out what extravagant generosity is all about.